Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining Lewis University's television network. Today is Thursday, March 23rd, 2023. I'm Hannah Gasick.
And I'm Samara Martinez. And we begin with our top national and international stories.
The White House is officially disbanding its coronavirus response team in May. That the Biden administration declared the public health emergency over at the same time, the team, most recently led by Dr. Ashish Jha, has been winding down in recent months. A senior White House official says the nation is in a better and much safer place than it was 3 years ago. Under President Biden, the White House COVID-19 response team was responsible for the nationwide rollout of vaccines, treatments, and medical supplies.
Getting stuck in traffic can be stressful, but it apparently also raises your blood pressure. Researchers in the UK looked at the health information of more than 240,000 people who initially didn't have hypertension. Researchers were surprised to find that people living near noisy traffic were more likely to have developed high blood pressure. So road rage can be hazardous to your health. Even if you live by the road, the study is published in the journal JACC Advantages.
Prince William made a rare, unannounced trip to Poland Wednesday. He met with British and Polish troops stationed near the nation's border with Ukraine. He also met with Poland's defense minister and toured an accommodation center providing humanitarian relief. According to the government, there are an estimated 1.5 million Ukrainian refugees in Poland. It marks the Prince of Wales's first visit there since 2017.
Workers in the country's second largest public school districts are hitting the picket line. Hundreds of employees of the Los Angeles Unified School District gathered for a strike Tuesday. The workers pushed for a wage increase for various positions, including custodians, bus drivers, building engineers, and cafeteria workers. They also want more full-time work opportunities and more staffing. Officials say Tuesday's strike led to the school's cancellation across the district, impacting 540,000 students.
The suspect involved in a school shooting at a Denver high school that left 2 faculty members wounded has been identified. Denver police are asking for the public's help in finding 17-year-old Austin Lyle, who fled the scene of the shooting at Denver East High School. Paramedics were on the school campus responding to a student medical issue when the shooting occurred. The police chief says that Lyle, the suspect, was on a safety plan. That means he had to be patted down by school officials each day before he was allowed to attend class. The chief says they found a handgun during their search, and that's when several shots were fired and struck the 2 school administrators before running away.
Coming up, we will have our Lewis Spotlight.
We'll be right back.
I would, if I could go back and change it all. I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Or maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all. If I could go back, I would. But I can't.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy all day long. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, and she even talks to it. She talks to that more than she talks to him. What's up, bro? Nice shirt. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
For our Lewis Spotlight this week, I am here with Dr. Sherwin, who is an assistant professor with the Department of Justice, Law, and Public Safety Studies here at Lewis. He has 38 years of experience in law enforcement, namely with the Chicago Police Department. He's also a trained mediator and a member of the Chicago and National Association of Dispute Resolution. So thank you so much for being here with us today, Dr. Sherwin.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure.
Oh, sure. So one thing I've heard about you is that you tell a lot of stories in your classes to your students about things that you witnessed and like just being part of the job. Could you tell us one of those stories that you tell your students?
Wow, yeah, I do tell stories, but they're real stories. They're real incidents, not something I make up. So real experiences that I've had. And I try to make it so that it's congruent with what we're talking about in the class, you know, so it has something to do with whatever it is. And my biggest thing is that I try to tell the students about how we need to interact with people and do it with heart, you know, and be careful and watch and pay attention and listen to people, just like in mediation, right? So I was thinking about this when we talked earlier. So one of my favorite stories is Flash Gordon. And so one day I'm working days, I'm by myself, and it's about 10:30 in the morning, and I get a call from the dispatcher, disturbance in the tavern. And so I said, okay, respond to it. I'm by myself. There's nobody else available. Usually you would never go in to a tavern by yourself, you know, on a call, any call. So I get there, and in the front of this tavern, or in the front part as you walk in, is where they sold packaged goods. And so I'm there, guy comes in to this area, and I look at him, I said, did you call the police? And he says, yeah. I said, well, all the time I'm waiting, I hear this loud voice in the back in this lounge that's in back of this area where I'm standing. And it's loud and a lot of profanity. And I says, well, what's the problem? What did you call for? And he looks at me and he says, what are you, nuts? You know, I says, can't you hear what's going on, you know? And I said, yeah. I says, okay, what do you want me to do? And he says, well, I want this guy out. And I says, well, okay, but are you willing to sign complaints? I said, is there other people, you know, and all that. So he buzzes me and we go in there. And it's a dimly lit, you know, it's a lounge. And there's a few people in there. Well, there's a couple ladies sitting at a table as soon as I walk in, and there's a couple people in a booth, and then a couple more people. It's only about 6 or 8 people total, right? But at the bar is this guy standing there, and he's got this beautiful suit on, and he's about 6'9" and about 300 pounds, and he's like this, right? And I said, holy sugar. And he's got on the bar, he's got a glass of beer. And he's yelling and he's shouting at everybody and calling them names, all this type of stuff, you know. So I'm thinking, what did I just do? Why am I even here, right? So I said, okay. So I walk up to him, and of course I'm looking up at him, you know. I says, hi. I says, how you doing? And he looks down and he says, what do you want? I says, well, I'm here. I says, somebody called about you. I says, what's your name? Flash Gordon. I said, okay, Flash. I says, so, you know, you're being shamies? He said, what? I says, you're being shamies. You're being a bad boy. He said, well, I didn't mean that. I says, well, you know, I says, you're over here, you're scaring people. He says, what do you mean? I says, well, you see these ladies over here? I said, you're scaring them by the way you're talking to them. Well, I didn't mean that. And I says, when was the last time you had your drugs? When was the last time you were at the hospital? He says, you know about that? I said, well, yeah, I'm the police. I know everything. He says, well, it's been about a month. I says, okay. I says, I'll tell you what. I says, I will take you to the hospital to get your drugs that you need. I says, how's that? He says, okay. I says, okay, finish your beer and let's go. So he gulps down his beer. We start walking out, and he grabs me on the shoulder, you know. He says, man, I like you, you know, and we start walking out. And then all of a sudden, the troops come in, right? All the police come in. I said, oh, take it easy, just back up. I said, this is all right, we got it under control. So we go outside, and there's this whole gaggle of police, and they got a couple wagons out there. And so I told Flash, I says, Flash, your chariot awaits you. So he says, okay. So one of the wagon guys opens up the back door, and Flash, when he stepped onto the back of the wagon went up. That's how, right? And he goes in, the wagon guy starts to close the door, and all of a sudden the door bursts open. Flash runs out, runs up to me, grabs me, kisses me on the cheek, and says, I love you, man, and then goes back in. But here's the beauty part. About, I don't know, whenever it was, a few weeks later, I get a call by the Death Sergeant to come into the station. So I come in there, and here's Flash, and he's with his dad, and he's got candy bars for me. He says, well, I just wanted to thank you.
Oh,
Isn't that great? So yeah, I got a lot of stories like
Yeah,
that.
Racy, I bet
Yeah.
you have so many stories of experiences that you've had. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
I mean, throughout your years of working, have you seen like what kind of advancements or changes have you seen within law enforcement, or even within like conflict resolution styles in general?
A good question. Well, I've seen a lot of advancement, that's for sure. When first I became a police officer, we didn't have radios on us. We had them in the car, which was a detriment. Of course, when then we got the radios, and we got computers, and we had computers, PDTs in the car. We started working with those. Now everything's computerized. When I first started out, everything was on a typewriter. Now it's computerized, and so I worked with that. Learned how to work with that, which was interesting in itself. As far as the mediation part or conflict resolution part, I know when I was at the academy, my last 5 years, I was in charge of recruit training, and we had people there that taught cultural diversity and taught mediation. Well, I shouldn't say mediation. Conflict resolution skills, to police officers, to the recruits. So there's been a lot of advancement in that, and a lot of work involved with instruction and curriculum, and so I was happy to be a part of that too.
Yeah, and do you feel like all your prior experience and all your different things you've witnessed helps you to better then like connect and reach your students as well when you're teaching?
Yeah, I love being with the students, and I'll tell you why. I want to give them a perspective that'll help them, and not this gung-ho, let's go out there, shoot 'em up stuff, cowboy stuff. Talk to them about the real deal. What's really going on out there? And, and all this stuff that's going on in regard to, defund the police and all that kind of thing. The people in the neighborhood like the police. And I'll tell you this, I've had guys, I'll tell you a story. I had a guy who worked for me on my TAC team, and he was killed in line of duty. And so about 2 weeks after the funeral, we're in the office, and we got some usual suspects, up there that we're working with. And I'm sitting at my desk, and one of the guys, we call him Big Man, he's about 400 pounds, and he's one of the, drug dealers, in the neighborhood. And he and his guys. And he says, "Hey, Sarge," he says, "how you doing?" And I said, "Oh, okay. Sarge, how you doing?" I says, "Okay. Sarge, how you doing?" And I'm like, "What?" I said, "Big Man, what's up, And he says, "Well, I know that, Officer Camp was killed, and we really like him, and we like you guys. You always treat us good. We're out there doing our thing. You're doing what you need to do." He said, "I'm just wondering how you're doing." I started crying. I said, "Holy cow, I didn't know what to say." I says, "I'm doing good. Thank you for asking." So that's the kind of stuff I've seen, and like I said, I've got a lot of stories like that, a lot of things to share in regard to how do we interact with people. Why do we need to go out there and be aggressive? We need to be assertive, aggressive in wanting to do the job, but assertive and using this more than anything else. And that's what I try to bring to class.
Right, and that's so important for students to hear as well.
Yep.
So just going off of that, why did you decide to come and teach here at Lewis?
So there's a story behind that too. So when I was in charge of recruit training at the academy, there was somebody, I forgot who it was actually, somebody from here, from Lewis University said, "Hey, would you mind having somebody come there and talk to the recruits and talk to police officers about joining Lewis, or to go to school, for their bachelor's degree or master's degree?" And I said, "Sure, no problem." I says, "Let me know who it is, and let me know when they want to come, and we'll set something up for them." So it was Jim Houlihan, and I forgot Shannon, I forgot her last name. Anyway, they came. So they introduced themselves, and I had this table set up for them and all that. And so I said, "I'm getting ready to retire." I says, "Is there anything, So I put my resume in, and I don't know. And it wasn't Houlihan that did it. It was just that he put the resume in. I don't know where it went to, but so that was it. But I love being here. It's great. It's a great place and a lot of good people that I've worked with here.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, my final question for you today. Do you have like a favorite class or a favorite lesson that you've taught here at Lewis that kind of just stuck out with you and that you love to teach the most?
Man, the favorite. I love all of them. I don't know what to say about that. I think the one that I have the most fun with is the criminalistics class, because I do the crime scenes and I do like I'll bring show them blood spatter. I'll do the blood spatter in class and they love it, and I do the fingerprinting and the super glue fuming and I do, like I say, crime scenes and all that kind of stuff, so I have fun with that because it's really interactive and the students really like it because they really learn. Even though I've got these little figures there on a piece of whiteboard, or what am I looking for? That I have them drawn out, little stick figures. But the idea of it is, the reality of it is this here. The angst that they have, or doing this in front of other students, and the silliness of it all, is the same emotion that you have going on to a real crime scene. That same emotion that you get being, I don't know what I'm doing, is this okay? Can I say this? That's what you get when you go to a real crime scene. So it's fun.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you so much for being here with us, Dr. Shurin. Really was great hearing some of your stories and more about your classes as well and experience. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
And when we come back, we will have your local news, so stay with us.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all. If I could go back, I would. But I can't.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy all day long. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, and she even talks to it. She talks to that more than she talks to him. What's up, bro? Nice shirt. Who's she talking to?
Exacerbated.
Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
Chicago is known as the Windy City, but will now also be known as the city with the most traffic in the U.S. Chicago is leading the nations in time spent in traffic even before the 3-year construction on Kennedy Expressway. Area commuters lost about 155 hours last year due to traffic. That is a 49% increase from 2021 as more people return to office for work.
A Rockford man charged earlier this year for stealing a funeral van with a dead body inside was identified as Dion Michon Howard. He stole the van on January 21st and was taken into custody by the Brown County Police Department on Sunday morning. He was involved in a traffic stop which led to his arrest, but police say that at the time he was uncooperative in identifying himself. During his arrest, he was in possession of a stolen handgun. There is no further information at this time.
4 Chicago police officers were stripped of their police powers and placed on the desk duty last week, amid an investigation into the documentation of guns recovered on the street. The 4 officers were assigned to the Calumet District on the far south side, and the Chicago PD did not want to comment.
Starting on Monday night, the Illinois Department of Transportation will close the 2 left-hand inbound lanes of the Kennedy Expressway from the Edens Expressway to Ohio Street. This closure comes as part of a major years-long project to better the expressway. It'll take about a week to get into place and is expected to cause several delays. Though express lanes will stay open to inbound traffic until this year's repairs are done, IDOT suggests that motorists should consider taking public transportation to avoid traffic frustration and further delays.
On Monday, the CDC published clinical cases of Candida auris are skyrocketing. Researchers say, though the cases were initially clustered in New York and Chicago, they are now being reported in more than half of the U.S. states. According to the CDC, healthy people don't usually get sick from Candida auris. The multi-drug resistant fungus also spreads easily through healthcare facilities. It can be carried on people's skin without causing symptoms. Researchers say the pandemic may have also exacerbated the spread.
When we return, we will have our entertainment news.
And later we will have your weather and sports update.
I would if I could go back and change it all. I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Maybe he's really focused.
Hey, Michael. Michael. Maybe he likes spinning the wheels.
Maybe he just loves trucks.
Maybe he's just being a boy.
Preoccupation with objects is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy all day long. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, and she even talks to it. She talks to that more than she talks to him. What's up, bro? Nice shirt. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
The city of Las Vegas is welcoming Taylor Swift and her fans in style for her shows this weekend. The city will display a Swift-inspired late show at the Gateway Arches every night through Saturday. Swift takes the stage at Allegiant Stadium Friday and Saturday in the second stop of her Eras tour. She kicked off the tour in Glendale, Arizona. Recently, the 27-date tour continues through the spring and summer, wrapping up in Los Angeles in August.
On this day, 60 years ago, a musical and cultural revolution began. On March 22, 1963, the Beatles released their debut album, Please Please Me. Less than a year later, it landed the British musicians a spot on The Ed Sullivan Show. They performed in front of 73 million viewers, and Beatlemania was born. John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr became household names. Some have called the group the original boy band, but their influence went beyond music. Their revolution influenced art, design, and fashion for decades to come.
Veteran actor Dick Van Dyke crashed his car Wednesday and got some minor injuries. Police in Malibu, California say the 97-year-old was behind the wheel at the time. Officers arrived to the scene to find Van Dyke's silver Lexus had collided with a gate. Van Dyke starred in classic children's films Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Mary Poppins. Last month, he became the oldest contestant ever to appear on Fox singing contest, The Masked Singer.
Don't worry, I'm fine. That's the message Shaquille O'Neal is sending his fans after many of them became worried when they saw a social media post that he was in the hospital. The NBA legend took to Instagram Monday, thanking everyone for their concern while assuring them he's okay. He wrote in part, quote, "Just had to get some BBL work done, aka #hip replacement. Yes, I am fine, no need to worry." BBL is an acronym for Brazilian butt lift. O'Neal's reassuring post came after he tweeted a photo of himself hooked up to machines in a hospital bed over the weekend.
Comedian Adam Sandler was awarded the 2023 Mark Twain Prize for American Humor Sunday. The event was held at the Kennedy Center Concert Hall in Washington, D.C. It was a star-studded evening with celebrities, including Jennifer Aniston, Conan O'Brien, and Chris Rock in the attendance. Kennedy Center President Deborah F. Rutter earlier called Adam Sandler a remarkable artist. Previous honorees include Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Tina Fey, Eddie Murphy, and Dave Chappelle. The award ceremony will be aired exclusively on CNN on March 26th.
Up next, we will have your weather forecast.
And then we will have your Lewis Sports Update. Stay with us.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy all day long. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, and she even talks to it. She talks to that more than she talks to him. What's up, bro? Nice shirt. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
And now for your 7-day forecast. So on Thursday today, we have had partly cloudy skies and we have seen a little bit of rain. We will be reaching a high of 49 and going down tonight with a low of 43. Now going into Friday, we will have a still partly cloudy with some rain coming in. We will have a high of 49 and a low of 36. Now going into the weekend, we are going to see some sunshine. On Saturday, we will reach a high of 47 with sunshine, partly cloudy, and a low of 36. Now 1 degree higher on Sunday will be 48, still partly cloudy, partly sunny, excuse me, and would drop down to a low of 37. Unfortunately, on Monday and Tuesday, we'll be seeing some snow and rain with a high of 46 and a low of 36. Coming up, we will have your Lewis Sports Update.
I would if I could go back and change it all. I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all. If I could go back, I would. But I can't.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy all day long. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, and she even talks to it. She talks to that more than she talks to him. What's up, bro? Nice shirt. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
The Lewis women's bowling team attended the Music City Classic at Smyrna Bowl on Sunday. The Classic was hosted by Vanderbilt University and consisted of 30 teams. Of those teams, Lewis placed 16th, while 15 of those ahead of them were nationally ranked. The Flyers finished the regular season with a program record of 55 wins. Coming up next for the Flyers, they will host the Great Lakes Valley Conference Tournament starting at 8:30 on Friday morning in Lockport.
Lewis men's lacrosse team suffered a tough loss to Huntsville Chargers this past Saturday. The match was very well fought. Jack Spears started off a goal in the first 2 minutes of the game. At the end of the first, Lewis led the Huntsville 33-2. The second quarter slipped away from Lewis. The Chargers were able to capitalize to tie the game 3-3. The last 2 quarters of the game were dominated by the Chargers. They maintained the lead to win 8-6. Lewis will be back in action again Saturday, March 25th here at Lewis Stadium at 1 p.m. to begin the Great Lakes Valley Conference.
Flyer women's softball dropped 2 tough matches to Maryville last weekend to open GLVC conference play. Game 1 ended with a final score of 2-1, while Game 2 ended with a score of 8-4. Top Flyer performances were Delaney Garden as pitcher, Jalen Powell as third baseman, and Gabby Niles as pitcher. The Flyers take off again next weekend when they face off against McHenry in a doubleheader on the road.
Lewis men's volleyball team is on a 5-game winning streak after sweeping McHenry 3-0 this past Saturday. McHenry started the match strong, taking a 4-1 lead from the start. Lewis then scored 5 straight points. Both Michael Sack and Tyler Morgan had 1 kill each. The opening match was tied at 23. Lewis was able to take the victory 25-23. The second set began with McHenry taking a lead 6-3. Flyers were able to capitalize and took the lead 10-9. Very well fought match. Lewis was able to again win 25-23. The third set got interesting. Flyers had some ball errors, causing McHenry to take the lead 14-8. The next possession, Flyers responded with 6 straight points. The Flyers won the third set 25-23. The Flyers hope to continue this winning streak tonight as they face Loyola at 7 p.m. tonight.
3 of 4 games Sunday against UIS. The matches opened up conference play for the Flyers and marked their first few games played on the newly renovated Brennan Field. Though the Flyers dropped 3 matches, several players had breakthrough performances, including pitcher Jake Caraba, who earned his second GLVC Player of the Week honor. This season, Lewis will travel to McKendree for a 4-game series beginning Friday at 2 p.m.
And that's it for today's news. Thank you for watching. As a reminder, you can always keep up with Lewis University Television Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and by visiting our YouTube page. I am Samara Martinez.
And I'm Hannah Gasick. Have a great night.